It's relatively rare that we see any kind of balance changes in a hotfix, but Creative Assembly recently did hotfix Kislev's Regiment of Renown actually in his ambushes, not these ones which are getting currently pummeled by Skaven ranged fire, but these ones over here. The Wolfhearts have had their net significantly nerfed. I actually rolled back to the last patch so you could see what it was before, and in the live patch it is significantly nerfed in the duration of it. Previously, this was by far the longest duration net in the game, like it wasn't even close at 25 seconds. In the live patch has now been changed to 10 seconds, and it also gives a vigor debuff, supposedly. But anyway, let's go ahead and pause here and take a look at this battle as things are getting rolling. Sent in by Joyboy, the Skaven player here on the last patch. Probably had no idea that I was going to use it for this purpose, but here you go. Yeah, we've got Kosovite Dervishes charging in for Kislev. The rest of their build is going to be the Lady Ostankia, Mother Ostankia herself, hardly a lady. Mordheim Beowulf's Regiment of Renown Things in the Woods. We've got some heavy war sleds and some winged lancers as well. Griffin Legion. So no infantry, all cavalry and skirmish. And then for the Skaven here, Ikit Claw leading the way. He's got some Poison Wind Globadiers, a few Rat Ogres, and some expensive weapons teams here already getting charged. Natty Bluebill Sharpshooters, and the Avalanche Mortars getting hit by those Dervishes. Then plenty of Clan Rats around. A couple of Triads mixed in here as well, it looks like. Yeah, maybe just the one Triad. Anyway, let's get things rolling here. And you can see how the net used to work. Again, this is the old version of it, so it has been changed from this, but his ambushes are just going to net poor Ikit here on his motorcycle and just absolutely gat him. Thankfully, it's just the one unit, so their burst isn't actually high enough to snipe Ikit effectively here, but like if both of these units were formed up, they likely would be able to do enough HP damage to just rout Ikit off here straight up, just with the one cast of that. So the hard snares tend to be extremely strong. That's why, for the most part, all their durations are relatively limited, but I'm glad to see that has been nerfed. Even as it is, I mean, just with the one unit firing in on that extremely long net, Ikit takes enough damage just about rout him. Joyboy there is going to realize the net's dropped and get him moving and out to safety, but meanwhile, Kislev builds doing their best to try and cycle charge as much as possible. It is relatively light on the amount of HP, though, that it's bringing, given it's relatively expensive. Mobile shock units don't have a lot of staying power. They do have a lot of hitting power, but here, yeah, the Poison Wind Globe effect, and just in general having a tough time disengaging as the Rat Ogres are able to countercharge back in there. Yeah, nice maneuvering here, though, by those Winged Lancers and the War Sleds to get up and around. The War Sleds definitely need to be hammering in, especially on those Poison Wind Globadiers as much as possible, because Winged Lancers will do their job of getting in and shutting down the other weapons teams, but those Poison Wind Globes firing in the back here. Ikit unleashing his Grass Orb there as well, doing some insane damage. That cavalry contingent just instantly nuked and forced into by our blood. Yeah, the Chariot reacts there a little bit too late, unfortunately, to save that cavalry blob. Gulia is going to be used to heal a little bit here, but Gulia's is more of a trickle heal. I mean, the actual burst healing of it is relatively low. It's a pretty low percentage HP per second, not even a single % per second healed, so really not the most impactful heal. I tend not to bring it or try and rely on it, and just, take the Patriarchs. They are much more consistent when it comes to healing Kislev. But it's going to be a reasonably quick one. Kislev's already starting to have a little bit of a tough time, kind of running out of steam here. Yeah, Poison Wind Globe's doing a great job seeing those units off. The Avalanche Mortars back from route, at least momentarily. They're going to get charged down, looks like, by some cavalry there. Griffin Legion getting in very nicely. Oof, Mother Ostankia does some nice damage there with her AoE ability, which was buffed. The bear bombardment here. Spirit Bear, yeah. Homing on that was significantly buffed, so it does drop down there. Do a nice amount of damage to the horde of Skaven. So Kislev kind of hanging on right now. The main problem is, at this point, I mean, Ikit's still reasonably healthy. There's also, the weapons teams are very tattered, but they're in such a position where they're going to be tough for Kislev to get at, especially with these war sleds being so low on HP and leadership. It'll only take a couple of hits on them from the Giselles to rout them off. So I don't totally hate the Kislev build here. In fact, I think it actually is quite sensible in a lot of ways, given what Skaven can do. High Elves often do something similar where, you know, I'll see Rider of Rohan, for example, not take any traditional infantry units against Skaven, right? It's like all cavalry and skirmish, just to provide you maximum mobility and flexibility, and to try and pick the Skaven apart to a degree. But here, Skaven are able to hold on just barely. I mean, certainly have sustained quite a bit of damage, but sort of spreading the damage around a lot of their army and being able to hold on critically, excuse me, to a few of those targets. I almost think maybe Kislev should have kept some cavalry in reserve, maybe even one of those dervishes, just to chase routing units. Make sure to stay committed in the back line, not to, you know, make sure those units don't come back, because even though, I mean, might not have done that much at the end of the day, but those few weapons teams, even though there's not a lot of models of them, can make enough of an impact, kind of swing things. But definitely the Rat Ogres also performed very well here. Obviously had a target-rich environment, but actually didn't get charged too badly directly by, excuse me, like the Winged Lancers and so forth. It's definitely an interesting one. But I just wanted to show this mostly because it had the Akshina's ambushers in it, and very clearly showcasing them netting Ikit for quite some time, although it doesn't cost Joy Boy the match, so obviously still can't be the thing that carries you to battle. But I am glad that Creative Assembly did choose to change that, especially on a hotfix. While I wouldn't necessarily expect a lot of balance changes on hotfixes as sort of a regular thing, it was egregious enough, I guess they felt like, to fix it in a patch, you know, a small patch like this, which is really for me is very nice. Like, I definitely appreciate that. So let's do a quick comparison so you guys understand how strong this actually was. So 25 seconds is an insanely long time, also 100-meter cast range. Now granted, it's not area of effect, which is certainly something to make note of, but still, yeah, 25 seconds. Whereas if you look at something like, let's say, Lure of Light, right, Net of Amantok is kind of the classic original hard snare. Only 20-second duration, and that's 9 winds of magic and single target, right? And if you overcast it, then it becomes area of effect, but 18 winds of magic is quite a bit, and still, right, 20-second duration. So, yeah, you look at other hard snares, and they are significantly less amount of time. Tormentor Sword, I think, is less than 10 seconds, I want to say. You look at, let's say, Wood Elves, another prominent one. Brave on a Thrama, not nearly as long, 16-second duration, right? So you see how the duration on that is just far and away above anything else, any other hard snares in the game, which is why I think it was a really good change for Creative Assembly to make, kind of bring that, yeah, only 11-second duration on Marcus Wolfheart's bow. So yeah, nerfing it more than half, down from 25 seconds to 10 seconds, is pretty significant. The fact that it also gets a Vigor debuff as well, though, is quite nice. Yeah, it definitely kind of helps bring down some of those big monsters, especially if it's towards the lower end of Vigor and you're trying to push it towards kind of the last, like, exhausted, right? Could provide quite a bit of benefit in that way. I don't know. Generally, Vigor debuffs can be quite strong. Obviously, you need to use them earlier on in the battle to have the best impact. It's not going to have as much impact in the late game when everything's already exhausted, but definitely is something to be aware of. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.